Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm the GM Philosopher, and today we're going to talk about the #1 most crucial skill that's required to be an amazing GM who runs truly legendary games. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, the most important GM skill is certainly knowledge of the rules, right? But that's not quite right. It's doubtlessly super helpful to understand and deploy consistent rules, but contrary to what you might believe, that's not actually the most important thing. Well then, maybe it's the ability to be creative, to think on your feet, and to handle any unforeseen thing the players might throw at you. This is certainly one of the most important skills, right? Well, once again, you'd be incorrect. This is certainly an incredibly helpful skill to master, and mastering it will doubtlessly make your games better. It's just not the most important skill that makes game masters great. Well then, most certainly, you may say, surely the most crucial GM skill would be the ability to create believable immersion. Surely if a GM could create an incredible, believable, and engaging world, this would be the most important skill of all. But once again, I'm afraid you would be mistaken. So what then, you might ask, is the most crucial GM skill that actually makes GMs amazing, that makes games amazing, that makes players want to keep coming back session after session, campaign after campaign to game with you? Well, that's a great question, and you may be surprised by the answer. I've been running games for over 2 decades. I've had some incredibly fun games, and I've gamed with some friends for the same years at a time. I've developed long-term relationships with many gamers, and as a general rule, D&D and TTRPGs in general have been a massive positive part of my life. And many of my players, my friends, the vast majority of people I've played with have all claimed to love the games I run. But what's the common denominator that has made my games successful enough that these awesome people want to keep coming back to play with me for hours on end, week after week, and even keep coming back as I create and launch new campaigns? Well, you may be a little bit surprised by the answer, but here it is. The secret ingredient to running amazing D&D games, TTRPG games, the amazing ingredient that will make your players want to keep coming back time after time, is actually pretty simple. Basic human kindness and positivity. As important as it is to know the rules, to be creative, and to run immersive games, the simple truth of the matter is that these skills will not matter if they're not built on a solid foundation of friendship, positivity, kindness, and mutual respect for one another. Granted, this may not be the only thing you need to run a successful game, but it is an ingredient that, if missed, will yield all of the rest of these ingredients basically non-important, useless, meaningless. It's literally the cornerstone of building an amazing, successful TTRPG with other people. After all, who would ever want to keep coming back week after week to a creative, immersive, rules-consistent game, but nonetheless, a game where they're not met with positivity, kindness, friendship, and general human respect and decency at the game table? I know that I wouldn't keep going back to such a game, and many of you watching this probably feel the same way. Consider this. Studies in group dynamics pretty consistently show us that positive, supportive environments foster better teamwork, creativity, and engagement. In the context of tabletop RPGs, where collaboration and shared storytelling are key, a GM's attitude sets the tone for the entire session. If the atmosphere is filled with positivity and kindness, players are more likely to feel comfortable to be creative and to contribute enthusiastically, leading to a more enjoyable and successful game for everyone. One thing that's interesting to me is that even though 97% of the comments I receive on this channel are incredibly positive, kind, and mutually respectful, I still get a few seemingly angry comments from viewers telling me that I must be a terrible GM based on my advice. But the irony here is that while I always welcome honest feedback and constructive criticism on the channel, it's actually exactly that part of me, the part that would never leave a derogatory or negative comment on someone else's D&D gaming channel that has likely contributed to my success as a GM in so many amazing groups and games to such a big degree. Positivity and respect have truly been the cornerstones of my long-term success at my table, and I believe they're crucial for any GM. It's also very clear to me that at times in my life when I have failed at crushing these crucial cornerstone principles in my own groups, be it through frustration, impatience, or just being a general grump at times, those games suffered and lessened in success as a result. This has really proven to me that kindness, positivity, encouragement, and just general overall friendship and camaraderie are really the most crucial bits of glue that hold games together and are required in order to make them awesome. At its core, being a game master isn't just about rules, creativity, or immersion. It's about human connection. Tabletop RPGs are more than just games. They are shared journeys, collective stories shaped by the minds and hearts of everyone involved. As a GM, you're not just leading a game. You're guiding an experience, a space where people come together to explore, create, and bond with one another. The atmosphere you cultivate is what breathes life into this shared narrative. And when you approach this role with kindness and positivity, you're not just facilitating a game. You're fostering an environment where trust and collaboration can thrive. It's in these moments of connection that true magic happens, where players feel safe to take risks, to laugh, to share in moments of triumph and defeat. It's where the game transcends its mechanics and becomes something more, an unforgettable experience that resonates long after the dice have stopped rolling. In the end, the most memorable games aren't those defined by flawless rule execution or perfectly crafted worlds, though those things do help and they do make a difference. The truth is, the most memorable games are actually at a core defined by the relationships and connections built around the table, the bonds you create with your players, the shared joy and mutual respect. These are the elements that turn a good game into a great one and facilitate turning a great one into a legendary one. So as you continue on your journey as a GM, remember that your greatest tools aren't in your rulebooks or in your notes or even in your session planning or even in creating balanced encounters or the most awesome homebrew items. They're in your ability to be a source of positivity, a true beacon of kindness, a foundation of trust for your players. These are the qualities that will not only make you a great GM, but will also create the kinds of games that players will cherish for a lifetime. Players will be so quick to forgive a slightly imbalanced combat or maybe a slightly less immersive world if you, as a GM, are a beacon of kindness, a beacon of encouragement, and the type of person they love to game with, just as a general rule, because you're an awesome person and you treat them like they're also awesome people. And with that being said, I believe that I've said all I really have to say on this one. Please be encouraged. If you take kindness and positivity seriously at your table, you're already winning, even if you haven't mastered the other concepts yet. You can get better at world building. You can get better at running consistent rules in your game. You can get better at balancing combat. However, none of those things will matter if you do not first master the most crucial skill of all, which is being positive and kind to your players at the game table. If you have already made significant progress in this, you are well on your way to being a great GM, no matter where you are in the other skill sets. So until next time, keep playing awesome games out there. I will see you awesome people on the next video.